3 minutes.
Zoe Lofgren opened a red folder. She looked at Kash Patel, and he read aloud the names that had been kept secret for 11 months. Patel's hand stuck to the edge of the table, his palms flat, pressing down. His voice has weakened. His breathing became labored. This is the story of those 3 minutes. February 16th, 2026, Senate Intelligence Committee, afternoon. The hearing was expected to go smoothly. FBI oversight, budget allocations, counterterrorism briefings, standard agenda, boring agenda. Kash Patel entered as usual, confident, with that unique Washington confidence. The confidence of someone who has survived hundreds of hostile hearings, who knows how to deflect, evade, and run out the clock. With 3 lawyers and 2 assistants by his side, thick briefing folders, dark suit, American flag pin, practiced calm authority expression. He knew his steps. She knew the dance. What she didn't know, Zoe Lofgren had spent the last 72 hours reading the newly released Epstein documents, all 847 pages, and he had found something. Who is Lofgren? She's been in Congress for 28 years. Someone known for precision, not performance. The kind who asks his questions without putting on a show, prepares his documents in advance, and builds the corner before cornering the witnesses. The first hour was just as expected. Cybersecurity threats, foreign interference updates, field office staff. Patel handled everything smoothly, standard handbook. When it was Zoe Lofgren's turn, she didn't start with pleasantries. She opened the red folder, glanced at the pages marked with colorful tabs and yellow highlighters, and looked at Kash Patel methodically and prepared. "Director Patel," he said, his voice calm but loaded with sharpness. Those who follow him recognize that tone. "I want to talk about the documents released 72 hours ago. Epstein files." Patel's statement hasn't changed. He was expecting this. "The FBI fully cooperated in accordance with all court orders," Patel said Patel. "Interesting," Lofgren said, noting that the documents told a completely different story, and pulling out the first page, she said, "These documents were released Friday night at 11:47 p.m., Director. This is exactly the time you prefer to release a document unnoticed," to which Patel shifted slightly. "The timing of document releases is determined by legal review processes." "I didn't ask that." Lofgren's voice cut like a knife. "But let's move on, because what is in these documents is much more interesting than the timing. Because what is inside these documents is much more interesting than the timing." At this point, the situation took a different turn. The energy in the room changed. It was palpable. The moment they realized they were witnessing something that would be etched in everyone's memory. Lofgren turned to the second tab. Published documents, page 47. FBI internal memo dated March 3, 2025. 3 months after you became director. He raised it. "This memorandum is signed by your deputy director, and it orders a reclassification review of all materials related to Epstein that reference individuals serving in government or having significant public influence." "Did you authorize this memorandum?" Patel's jaw tightened, the muscle just below his ear becoming pronounced. "Classification reviews are standard procedures," he said. "I didn't ask if it was standard. Did you authorize this specific memo? The memo that led to the withdrawal of 34 documents from the public?" Lofgren asked. 20 seconds of silence passed. 20 seconds in a congressional hearing feel like hours. Finally, Patel spoke. "The FBI's classification protocols are designed to protect both national security interests and the privacy of uncharged individuals." "So that's a yes." Lofgren slowly nodded. "Then let me ask this. How many of those 34 documents you reclassified contain names with political connections to you? How many of those 34 documents you reclassified contain names of people with political connections to you?" "I will not speculate on the content of classified materials in an open session," Patel said. "You don't need to speculate, Director," Lofgren raised her voice. "The documents were released 72 hours ago and are now public. Every American can download them. I'm just reading aloud what is publicly available. He glanced at his folder and added, Document 127, an FBI interview transcript dated August 15, 2009, Maria Santos's witness statement. Santos was a former housekeeper at Epstein's Palm Beach estate and provided a list of individuals she personally saw at the estate between 2002 and 2005, which the FBI recorded as 14 names. He paused. 10 of these names were redacted in this publication. 4 remained. The hall fell into a dead silence. Every journalist's phone rang. Each committee member leaned forward.
First name, Lofgren read. A leading technology entrepreneur who visited multiple times in 2003. He stopped. He continued. Second name, a Hollywood producer who attended at least 6 meetings between 2004 and 2005. Patel tried to speak. Without context, these statements could apply to dozens of people. Interesting, Lofgren interrupted. Because the original 2009 FBI report, the pre-classified report, contained real names, not these descriptions. Another document was removed. This is a classification change record. It shows exactly when the names were removed and replaced with general descriptions. Would you like to guess when it happened? Patel said nothing. March 2025, 3 months after you start your directorship. 3 months after you started as director? And this changed the course of the hearing? Because Lofgren was not done yet. He pulled out a new document. This is an email dated March 8, 2025, sent from your office to the Classification Review Board. He lifted it, making sure the camera caught it. It contains 23 names, and there is a note next to each name, he said, and read from the page. Political sensitivity, high. Potential for reputational damage, significant. Legal exposure, moderate to severe. Then he turned his eyes to Kash Patel. This doesn't look like independence, Director. This looks like political protection. Patel's lawyers were hurriedly taking notes. Patel left them outside. That email is being misinterpreted. Security reviews take multiple factors into account. Security reviews take multiple factors into account? But there is a noteworthy detail here. Lofgren said there were 3 names in that email. 3 names being buried, now appearing in public documents. I will read these 3 names now, he said. The American people deserve to know who you're protecting, Director Patel. The room held its breath. First name, a former cabinet secretary who served under 2 administrations. He paused. Then he continued. Documents show 7 recorded visits to Epstein properties between 2003 and 2006. Flight logs confirm at least 3 trips on Epstein's private plane. FBI's interviews with staff witnesses place this individual at multiple meetings at the property, allegedly involving underage girls. Lofgren raised her head. This person was never charged, never questioned in public, and under your directorship, their name was removed from public records, Lofgren said. Patel tried to intervene. The privacy rights of uncharged individuals. Not done, Lofgren interrupted, raising her hand to stop him. Second name. Second name. A billionaire technology CEO. Documents show that this individual maintained a relationship with Epstein for nearly a decade. The email correspondence addresses secret arrangements and private meetings. The hall descended into chaos, whispers in the gallery. The committee members looked at each other. The journalists started typing on their phones, and Patel was really sweating, visible under the lights. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Lofgren continued. The third name, perhaps the most important, Lofgren said, pausing for a long moment. A Hollywood executive with extensive political connections. The FBI identifies this individual at Epstein's Manhattan townhome multiple times in 2004 and 2005, based on the testimony of 3 separate witnesses. He paused again. One of the witnesses, a woman who was 17 at the time, gave a sworn statement recounting the abuse she claims to have experienced in the presence of this individual. The ensuing silence was suffocating, but the main critical point was this. Lofgren gathered the documents. He looked at Patel. These three people, Director Patel, you erased their names from the public record. You buried their identities. You protected them. He stopped. Then I will ask you directly, did you personally order the removal of these names? Did you consciously use your position to protect powerful individuals? Did you use your authority as FBI director to bury the evidence? Patel froze. As his lawyers took frantic notes, he looked at Lofgren like a man watching his career being torn apart step by step before his eyes. Finally, he spoke. His voice was barely audible. Congresswoman, FBI classification decisions are made through a comprehensive review process. This is not an answer to the question. Lofgren stood up. He got up physically. Yes or no, Director, did you delete these names? I acted in accordance with established protocols. Ben, I acted in accordance with the established protocols. You protected the powerful people. Lofgren pointed his finger at Patel. You swore, Director Patel. You swore to uphold the law, seek justice, and protect the victims. Instead, you protected their abuse. You buried the evidence. You hid the names. He stopped. You chose power over truth. And now the whole country knows it. And now the whole country knows this. The hall exploded. The journalists ran out. Committee members bombarded him with questions. The gallery audience stood up. Patel sat down. His head is slightly bowed. His hands are trembling. On live television, in front of the camera, Lofgren gathered her folders. This committee will issue a subpoena for all internal communications related to the Epstein document classification review. We will get every email, every memo, every phone record. He looked at Patel one last time. If we find that you obstructed justice and deliberately suppressed evidence to protect powerful criminals, I will ensure you face the consequences personally. If we find that you obstructed justice and deliberately suppressed evidence to protect powerful criminals, I will ensure you face the consequences personally. After the hearing, analysts and former prosecutors stepped in. Their discussions were not about evaluating the evidence because everyone knows that nothing is definitively proven in congressional hearings. But they debated what has emerged. 3 months after an FBI director took office, classification records showing specific names systematically redacted from Epstein documents are now public. An email marked "political sensitivity high" is visible. And there is still no adequate explanation for why 34 documents were withheld from the public. While this is not evidence, all the pieces are on record and on the table. So what will this committee do now? Will summonses be issued? Will correspondence come to light? Will someone from the inside speak up? The answers to these questions will determine whether accountability is possible. Lofgren did her part. 72 hours, 847 pages, 3 names, and an FBI director, on camera, couldn't answer. 3 minutes. It was enough for Zoe Lofgren to expose what has been kept secret for 11 months. There are documents. There are classification records. There are contradictions. And Patel's response of, "I acted according to established protocols," is on record. The only question is whether there will be any consequences from these records.